Hello and good morning, business owners, coaches, experts, consultants. It's Leon Street back again and back with another great topic, even if I do say so myself. Today is both some insight and a discussion. And the discussion really is around, are you protecting yourself from success? And over the course of more of these recent episodes, and especially on a Sunday, I've spoken about success. And the reason why I speak about it is because I hear it so much from people that I speak to. And usually success is related to some type of goal, some type of aspiration, some desire or want that the person really, wants to achieve in their life. And because it comes up so much, I thought, let me explore this a bit more and take you into the world of obviously what Leon Street is about as well, and some of the things that I look at and watch. And in particular, I'm going to talk about a book today that's kind of opened up this discussion, I guess, for me, and it's another great book to add to my collection, and another great book that has allowed me to explore more of who I am. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. Before we get into the exact book and the discussion points, what I want to do is just redirect you to my YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to the channel already, go to leonstreet.com/YouTube. Do it on your phone, do it on your laptop or computer. And when you go to that link, it will simply redirect you to my YouTube channel. So it won't take you anywhere else. There's no opt-in. You just literally put that in. If you don't want to search for Leon Street, that's the quick way. If you'd rather search for my name and then subscribe, please do that to Leon Street. Remember, there's an E on the end of street. Hit subscribe and click on the notification bell to be notified of all my upcoming live streams, as well as uploads that go onto the channel. And there's tons of great content. If you're a coach, consultant, or expert, just go check it out on the channel. But anyway, to the main topic of discussion. So today, as I said, this comes off the back of a book that I read. It got me thinking, actually. I did a short book review series that I used to call the BOE book review, or book club, actually. Did it on my other YouTube channel. But it just kind of triggered me this morning. I was like, oh, actually, it's a good place to start from, books. But anyway, the book's called The Untethered Soul. It's by Michael A. Singer. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller from 2007. And the way for me to explain more about this is that let's start with a quote from Deepak Chopra, which is on the front cover. It says, "Read this book carefully and you will get more than a glimpse of eternity." Like, what an opening statement. What a quote for a book, right? You will get more than a glimpse of eternity. So what the heck is he on about, more than a glimpse of eternity? Well, let me explain. So the book is about who are you? So it questions this. It goes into who are you? So when you start to explore this question, you find out how elusive it really is. Are you a physical body, a collection of experiences and memories, a partner to relationships? And the more you get into this book, you'll realize why my discussion point for today is, are you protecting yourself from success? And we're going to get into more of that in a moment. Each time you consider aspects of yourself, you realize that there is much more than any of these can define. And in the way that we want to define things, the way that people want to go about their lives, is that in trying to define things, this is where protection from success starts. This is where you protect yourself against success. You don't allow yourself to go for the true success of who you are. And for me, it's a really powerful thing. And then if we get into it more, the book goes into who are you. So when you start to explore this question, you find out how elusive it really is. Are you a physical body, a collection of experiences, memories, a partner to relationships? Each time you consider all of this, you realize that there is, more you can define, as I just said. Let me stop repeating myself and actually skip on. So Michael Singer explores the question of who we are and arrives at the conclusion that our identity is to be found in our consciousness. The fact that our ability to observe ourselves and the world around us. So if you never come across this concept before, consciousness is your ability to kind of see yourself in the moment. I don't know if you've ever watched any Marvel superhero films, but one in particular, Doctor Strange, where he does this thing called this astral projection, where he goes outside of his body and goes into his spirit. And that's one of the best ways for me to explain visually what consciousness is all about. It's your ability to observe yourself in any given moment, or even just to be aware to the fact that what you're doing in the moment, not just actually caught up in whatever activity it is. And the really cool thing that I like about where the book goes is that, you know, his summary goes into more that by tapping in traditions of meditation and mindfulness, Singer shows how the development of consciousness can enable us all to dwell in the present moment and let go of painful thoughts and memories that keep us from achieving happiness and self-realization. And if you go to Maslow's Maslow's hierarchy, you know, in there, the top one is self-actualization. So self-realization, it's pretty much the same thing. It's like the highest level that you can achieve, I guess, with who we are. And that's what I like about this book. It kind of, it taps into the more spiritual side of what we're about. And, you know, it's quite interesting, actually. I was, in fact, I got it on my phone. I did a print screen. Let me just share with you guys. We're live in the moment, as you can tell. I was looking at a poll which came up from one of my past clients. So they did this poll on LinkedIn. That's it. And there were 894 votes. So I've got it on my phone, just checking. And the question was, do you believe in spirituality? And obviously spirituality doesn't mean that you are religious in any way. It's just spirituality, something of us having a higher power, whether you believe that higher power to be God or not. Yeah, it's nothing to do with religion. But anyway, the question was, do you believe in spirituality? 894 people voted, which were all pretty much professionals and business owners. And 76% said yes, 19% no, and 5% don't know yet. And what I find interesting is that even from that, you know, if you go for the 80-20 principle, 76% said yes, they believe in spirituality. Well, you know, I'm a big believer in spirituality. I believe that more than just this physical manifestation, there's a greater power behind me and what I do. And I guess this is where the book kind of stems from, you know, just knowing that there is this greater power within us. And I'm going to give you the final part of the summary, and then I'm going to go into the discussion point. So Michael Singer explores the question of who we are, and as I said, arrives at the conclusion is to be found in our consciousness. The next part is, in part one, he explores self and the inner dialogue that all of us use and live with. Yeah. And the inner dialogue is your little voice. And if ever your voice encourages you, discourages you, or that little voice that it just keeps talking to you, that's what it's about. So inner dialogue. Part two examines the energy of experience that permeates our lives. So the fact that we're a spiritual being, but obviously we're also energy. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, we're not just this physical real life thing that we think we are, mass. We're actually much more than that. Even science proves that, you know, the way our cells, our organisms and everything are held together is held together by, you know, atoms. And what are atoms held by? They're held together by energy. If ever you've explored the works of Dr. Joe Dispenza, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, go check into Dr. Joe Dispenza, look at the book, the Breaking the Habit of Being You. Great book to start with. In part three of this book, Michael Singer, he goes down the route of ways to overcome tendencies to close down to the rest of the world, which a lot of us do. It's called aloofness. Yeah. And it's something that I experienced quite a bit, and I've got better over the years, especially with things that I don't enjoy or things that aren't going my way, and I become aloof. So I move away from things. I don't want to be part of it, but actually it's a negative thing as well. Part four explains or goes through enlightenment and how to embrace of the universal consciousness. And then in part five, he returns to daily life and the pursuit of unconditional happiness. So that's the book. And like I said, I just wanted to share that with you because it poses a lot of great questions, poses a lot of great things. And I'm going to explore a bit more into this so you guys can understand how could you be protecting yourself from success? You know, what could you do to actually take things to the next level? I've shared this quote previously, and you may or may not have come across it. It's called Our Deepest Fear. It's a poem by Marianne Williamson. And I've just taken the beginning part, the first part, the excerpt, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Now, here's the thing. When I first come across things like this, if I go back to early in my career, I would look at life and think, how the hell could you protect yourself away from success? Because so many people want it so badly. Yeah. And I would also then look at things like, well, how the hell or why would anybody, limit themselves. Yeah, it's ludicrous. And this is how I used to think. And I remember early in my 20s, a lot of success came my way easily. Like it literally just landed on my lap, landed on my doorstep. I didn't really have to do much for it. Success just happened. And at the time, I remember going from university to landing my first contract with the actual university that I'd just passed my degree with. And that landed on my lap, but it landed because I had great relationships with tutors. So in one way you could say, well, it didn't just land on my lap. I actually created great relationships. Yeah. How to win friends and influence people, right? But anyway, I got promotions really quickly, and I got into really high position and well-paid job, like in next to no time. Yeah, it would have took people probably a bit longer. But then I realized that where I wasn't the place I wanted to be. And so this was the start of me obviously exiting the job and wanting to go into my business full time, which I had on the side at the time. Having my business was how I got the job in the first place, because I landed a 6-month contract with my company and then eventually ended up being employed. But there is a point to this story. When I left there, I hit some tough times going into my business. A lot of people said, oh, you're going to find it hard. You get paid a regular salary at your job. Don't leave. And in the end, I left because it wasn't going to give me what I wanted. And what I wanted was freedom of choice. I wanted freedom to do, choose, and impact the people that I wanted to help. So how was I protecting myself from success? Remember, I just said to you, success used to come easily to me. But what happens when success starts to elude you? What happens when things get a bit more difficult? What happens when you hit a certain level of success, but you can't get beyond it, and you hit this glass ceiling? And this is the part that I want to speak to you guys about. This is my discussion point. And a moment ago, I just shared the excerpt from the poem by Marianne Williamson. And it's the last part that I want to focus on, because this is the protecting yourself from success part. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So what the hell is she on about? How could our light frighten us? You're probably thinking, because I was thinking when I first come across it, but I started to understand it very quickly. So here's the thing. Now, if you think about yourself as, you got your mind, and there's two parts of the mind. Just to keep it simple, you've got the conscious mind and you've got the subconscious or unconscious mind. Yeah, there's different parts of it. And the key thing is your subconscious and unconscious are built up of programs that you have come across and learned, the lessons of life you learned from a young age, and then repeated and reinforced those programs and processes and actions. And that's what, helped you to become who you are, your personal reality, your personality. And off the back of that, with your personal reality, there are things that you believe to be good, and there are things that you believe to be bad. And there are also things that you believe that keep you safe, right? And there are things that you do because you don't want to end up in a bad situation or protecting yourself, i.e. you're already doing things to prevent, let's say, negative outcomes, fear, right? And these things you do unconsciously, they just happen, just like breathing. You don't think about breathing, but you breathe. Yeah, it's an unconscious mechanism of how your mind controls your body to act for you in its best interest, right? Stay alive. And here's the thing. Now, when it comes to success, there are different things that you have built up as part of your personal reality, your personality, that actually keep you safe unconsciously. But in keeping you safe, there are some things it's protecting you against, which you need to explore in order to be a success. But because the mind is protecting you against these things unconsciously, it becomes difficult when you do hit roadblocks. It becomes difficult when you hit challenges that you just can't seem to get across, and perhaps these challenges have happened a number of times in different ways, but it's the same type of experience, the same type of action that happened, or the same type of pattern that led you to this negative result. And you start to question yourself, like, why is it always me? Why is it always me? Why does that happen? And perhaps you just think you're not good enough, which comes back to low self-worth. Perhaps there's different things around you, like your environment. You start blaming other people or the things or the events. And off the back of it, what you've started to do is to reinforce this program that you learned from a young age. And so my point, and I guess what I want to open up the floor for, is that, if you're watching this live or watching this back on a replay and you want to ask me questions around this, I'm interested to know, Do you believe, first of all, that you protect yourself from success? Do you believe that there is an unconscious mechanism that stops you from getting to the next level? Because sometimes, quite often, really, not sometimes, but quite often, people want to achieve success. So we're all looking for, and I say all as a sweeping statement, we're all looking for easier ways to make things happen. But the reality is that you'll see and hear from a lot of successful millionaires, billionaires, that their journey to their, let's say, financial success, let's call it, has been through consistent action. But consistent action that has allowed them to fail, has allowed them to experience more failure than most of us will allow, because they've been able to unlearn the patterns of their personality, the patterns of their psyche, and that has allowed them to go on to push the barriers, to push their comfort zone. Because you hear a lot of people talking about, the happiness or the success is found outside of your comfort zone, but there's only a few people who actually live that life. People talk it, but only a few people live it. And the reason for that is it comes back to this place of where, well, when you start to question the very fabric of what you believe to be real and to be the foundation of who you are and how you are and the things that you act upon, that's a scary place when you question yourself and what has served you up until now, what has been the thing that has made you who you are and the world around you what it is. Even if you already have some level of success, but you're not willing to admit that there are greater things you could do, and therefore you're not willing to push. It could be you've already got the house, you've got the car, you've got the kids, you've got the family, you've got the different strappings or trappings of life. Or perhaps you haven't got those things and you've been in, let's say, a lower place of living to where your potential is, and that's made it feel like that's home. You've got used to it because you've been there so long that you question the very opportunity to go to that next level. And for me, in the book, Michael Singer, in The Untethered Soul, speaks about this. He speaks about the fact that in our minds, imagine this, where we create this beautiful opportunity to go and create and build this house in, let's say, the countryside, and we're far away from the trappings and the noise and the hustle and bustle of, city life. And, we find this land, we build this house, and the house is amazing. And then, more and more what happens is we start to go inside this house, and then we think, what, because we're used to the fears of life and, what could have happened in more urban settings, suburban settings in the city, we start to build, perhaps like a fence around the house, and then we start to put security into the house, and before we know it, we're putting shutters on the windows and we're blocking out the light, the natural light. And then eventually what happens is the generator that we have, or the electricity supply, goes out. There's a problem, and so now we have to use candles to light the house, but we've got shutters on the house, and off the back of that we get to this place of just darkness. And then eventually we're down to like our last candle, and then we realize that actually all we needed to do was open up the shutters. But we got to this place of a pattern that built up into what has become our life, and our everyday life. And we would say things, let's say, like, this is how life is, that we simply forget all we need to do is open up the shutters and get over the fears of potentially there's threats outside, or, we don't know what exists out there because we're in this place of fear. And I love this because the book shows that, we can get to this place of nirvana, let's say, heaven. But because of the way that our brain works, and the ego in particular, it can trap us from within. And the from within is the thing that we don't see. It's the thing that builds upon us to make us think that living in a house with shutters, security fences, and in total darkness, that is okay. And that is something we should put up with, or we can put up with. And it's when you get to that place that you realize that that's where your success is going to remain elusive. That's where you are protecting yourself from success. And the more you can raise your consciousness, which is what this book goes into, the more you can, see outside of yourself and simply just experience, negative things, bad things, and just like find happiness in them, saying, you know what, it's interesting how I'm responding to that right now, and get to that place where actually, if you think of people like Mahatma Gandhi, you strip away all the trappings of what life is and you just live to the bare essentials, because in reality, the most powerful thing you can bring is your highest level of your soul, i.e. going back to spirituality, which is where we started earlier. And I think, when we get there, and I say think because, we're never really there. We're always working on that journey towards, our final breath, but living, to the best life and the most happiest life that we can is one of the key things. And I guess this is what I want to share with you as my conclusion. It's just getting to this place of awareness that if you truly want success, it isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows, guys. There is going to have to be more moments of where you question the very fabric of who you are, the very being of who you are. And the more you can question who you are and the actions you've taken that have led you to perhaps failures or getting close to success, getting close, like inch away, centimeters away, but not quite getting there, the more you're going to be in this place of actually going towards and headed towards success. And this is what I wanted to raise with you. The more conscious and mindful you can become, and the more techniques you can use in order to get there, whether it's meditation, prayer, whether it's reconnecting in nature, whether it's, the daily constant happiness you find with the people or things around you, like those are the things that you have to inject more of in your life, because with greater consciousness and greater awareness, this is where you'll find greater happiness. This is where you will face challenges and you'll find the happiness in the challenge, believe it or not. And I can share many different experiences where if I think back, there's no way on this earth I could have been happy at that time. So, the different experiences, like my father passing away when he died, going through divorce, going through challenges, with family and just different things like that. And as I've grown, as I've, experienced, I guess, the breakdown of my personal reality in order to remake it and to become more conscious, to become more aware and to take things in that direction, and still working on it daily, guys. Don't think you ever get there. It's a constant journey, as they say. The key is that I'm able to look at what I'm doing and say, right, what am I protecting? What am I truly protecting? Because if I'm not where I want to be, then there's something about me in my unconscious, subconscious mind that is protecting. Yeah. And I don't need the protection. And that's what I have to tell myself in order to become more aware and more conscious to what is actually going on. Because whether you're experiencing great times or bad times, remember, you're the common denominator. Yeah. It isn't other people or your environment to explain. It's how you respond to everything. It's you. And that's what I want to leave you guys. So who you are is the thing that you need to question. It's the thing you need to question daily, morning, night, and through meditation, prayer. That's where you'll find your breakthroughs, and that's where you'll stop protecting yourself from success, and you'll just allow success to happen because you'll go for it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this whistle stop tour. And as I said, this was triggered by the book by Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul. And hopefully this has just raised some awareness for you. It's got you to think, like, how could I actually ever protect myself from success, when in reality we all do it, to different levels and different degrees. And that's what I want to leave you guys, that we're protecting, but you don't have to. So it's your job to become more mindful around what's going on with you. And there's different ways you can do that. Books, videos, you can seek out, mentors, coaches, and I'd advise you to explore all of them. If you do want help growing your business, if you're a coach, expert, or consultant, you find that actually you've hit a ceiling, a glass ceiling, you just can't quite put your finger on it and how you can go to that next level, comment success below this video, and I can send you more details on how you can find more success in your life through running your coaching, consulting, or expert business. So on that note, guys, that's it from me. If you've enjoyed or liked this content, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to leonstreet.com/YouTube and hit the subscribe button. And also click on the notification bell to be notified of all my upcoming live streams and videos. And on that note, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening and watching.